No. Here, on the vast marshy delta of the Neva River, a landscape long shaped by the slow, inexorable forces of water and ice, a new and powerful force was about to impose its will. This was a land of mist and shifting channels, a challenging, almost inhospitable environment, seemingly destined to remain the quiet domain of seabirds and hardy flora. Yet, in the grand theatre of human ambition, such landscapes aren't obstacles, but canvases. It was upon this damp, windswept stage at the very edge of the Baltic Sea that one of the world's most extraordinary urban creations would rise, not through gradual settlement, but through a singular, monumental act of creation, a testament to the power of a vision to reshape the very earth itself. In the year 1703, a formidable intelligence surveyed this terrain. Peter the Great, a Tsar of immense stature and even greater ambition, saw not a swamp, but a gateway. He envisioned a window to Europe, a port city that would tether his vast, landlocked empire to the maritime trade, the technological innovations, and the cultural currents of the West. This was not merely a plan for a new settlement. It was a strategic move in a colossal game of empires, a declaration that Russia would no longer be a peripheral power, but a central player on the world stage. The very act of its founding was a defiance of nature, a bold assertion of human dominance over a reluctant environment. And so the work began. An epic struggle against the elements, a battle fought not with cannons and muskets, but with spades and piles and sheer human endurance. Thousands upon thousands of serfs and conscripted laborers were brought to this unforgiving delta, their lives becoming the mortar that would bind the city's foundations. They drained the wetlands, drove countless wooden piles deep into the unstable ground, and carved canals where streams once meandered. It was a city built on sacrifice, its nascent streets and squares echoing with the toil of its makers, a phenomenal display of collective effort orchestrated by the iron will of one man. From this monumental effort, a city of impossible grandeur, revolutionary drama, and unparalleled artistic treasures began to emerge from the mists. Like a complex organism adapting to its environment, St. Petersburg grew, its arteries of water and stone pulsing with a new kind of life. It became a city of imperial palaces, of golden spires reflecting in dark waters, a stage for some of history's most pivotal moments. Today, we journey through this living museum to explore its history and witness the 20 breathtaking sights that tell its remarkable and often turbulent story. This is the story of St. Petersburg. Our journey begins at the State Hermitage Museum, once the residence of Russian Tsars. Catherine the Great's private art collection grew into one of the world's most significant, encompassing over 3 million items. Today it stands as a testament to art, revolution, and the enduring legacy of Russian emperors. The Church of the Saviour on Spilled Blood rises above the Griboidov Canal, a memorial to Alexander II's assassination. Its interior is covered in mosaics. The church has faced a turbulent history, surviving war and neglect. Today it stands as a museum, a testament to resilience. Here on the Gulf of Finland rises Peterhof, the summer residence of Peter the Great. Conceived to rival European courts, its scale is breathtaking. The Grand Cascade, a masterpiece of water and sculpture, descends to the sea. Samson's iconic statue commemorates Russia's victory over Sweden. The lower gardens offer playful surprises, like trick fountains revealing Peter's mischievous side. Peterhof is a wonderland that enchants all who wander its paths. St. Isaac's Cathedral, a titan of granite and marble, crowned with gold, commands St. Petersburg's skyline. Its construction spanned decades, a testament to ambition and engineering. Inside, precious materials adorn every surface. Mosaics shimmer and the dome presents a celestial vision. Ascend to the colonnade for a breathtaking panorama, a definitive view of this epic city. Our journey now takes us to the very origin point of St. Petersburg, to a small island in the Neva River known as Zayachy or Hare Island. It is here, in 1703, that Peter the Great laid the foundation stone for the structure that would give birth to his new capital, the Peter and Paul Fortress. Its initial purpose was purely strategic, a defensive bastion designed to protect the newly conquered Neva Delta from a potential Swedish attack during the Great Northern War. The first fortress was a simple affair of earth and timber, built with desperate speed by soldiers and conscripted peasants in a hostile, marshy landscape. This fortress represents the iron will of its founder. It was built on a swamp, a place of mists and floods, an unlikely candidate for the heart of a future metropolis. Yet Peter saw its potential. The fortress secured his foothold on the Baltic coast, the crucial window on Europe that he so desired. Its construction was a defiant act, a statement that Russia was here to stay. The fortress was never used for its intended military purpose. The tide of war turned in Russia's favor. Instead, its destiny would be transformed, evolving from a military outpost into the historical and spiritual nucleus of the city that grew around it. Over the decades, the original earth and wood fortifications were replaced by the formidable stone walls and bastions we see today. The design, a six-pointed star, was state-of-the-art military architecture for its time, with bastions named after the Tsar's closest associates who supervised their construction. To walk along these thick stone walls is to walk through the earliest chapter of St. Petersburg's history. One can almost hear the echoes of the past, the shouts of the builders, the tolling of the bells, and the ever-present lapping of the Neva's waters against the granite foundations. This is the city's stone heart. Despite its imposing walls, the fortress soon acquired a dual, more sinister reputation. It became the Russian Empire's most notorious political prison, its main bastion, the Trubetskoy, serving as a high-security jail. Its inmates included some of Russia's most famous figures, from the writer Fyodor Dostoevsky to the revolutionary Leon Trotsky and Peter the Great's own son, Alexei. The fortress thus embodies a fundamental paradox of St. Petersburg's history, a symbol of creation and birth that also served as a place of confinement and death, its dungeons holding those who dared to challenge the power that its walls were built to protect. At the very center of the fortress grounds, a single needle-thin spire soars towards the sky, its gilded surface a beacon visible across the city. This is the bell tower of the Peter and Paul Cathedral, the most dominant feature of the fortress and one of St. Petersburg's most iconic landmarks. For a long time, at 122.5 meters, it was the tallest structure in the city, a law forbidding any other building from surpassing it. Its design by Domenico Trezzini was a radical departure from the traditional onion-domed Orthodox churches of old Russia. This was a new European style, a clear statement of Peter's Western-looking ambitions. The cathedral's spire is not just a feat of architecture, it is a symbol of aspiration. It points resolutely upwards, a golden arrow aimed at the heavens, reflecting the Tsar's own ambition to elevate Russia to new heights. Atop the spire sits a golden angel holding a cross. This celestial guardian seems to watch over the city, its form turning with the wind, a dynamic and ever-present sentinel. The bells housed within the tower, a gift from the Flemish city of Mechelen, would ring out across the water, their carillon music a distinctly European sound in this new Russian capital. Stepping inside the cathedral is a surprising experience. The interior is not dark and mystical like older Russian churches. Instead, it is bright, open, and resembles a grand ceremonial hall more than a traditional place of worship. The walls are painted in light, cheerful colors and adorned with gilded stucco and paintings. It feels distinctly un-Russian, almost Protestant in its aesthetic, another reflection of Peter's break with the past. This was to be a new kind of sacred space for a new kind of... Nevsky Prospect is the lifeblood of St. Petersburg. For centuries, it has pulsed with the city's history. The prospect is a living organism, constantly in motion, drawing people from every corner of the world. From the Kazan Cathedral to the Singer House, the architecture tells a story. Countless cafes and restaurants offer sustenance. As daylight fades, the avenue transforms. Nightfall triggers a spectacular transformation. The prospect becomes a river of light. Even in the deepest hours, Nevsky Prospect never sleeps, always ready for the first light of dawn. 25 kilometers south of St. Petersburg lies the Catherine Palace, a breathtaking display of Rococo splendor. Inside is the legendary Amber Room, a chamber constructed from fossilized resin. Gifted to Peter the Great, it was dismantled during WWII and lost. Today, a faithful reconstruction stands as a monument to artistic genius and resilience. In the intricate ecosystem of St. Petersburg's cultural life, there is one institution that stands as a sacred ground for the arts of ballet and opera. This is the Mariinsky Theater, a temple dedicated to the highest forms of human expression through movement and sound. Its mint green facade, a landmark of Theatre Square, gives little hint of the opulent world that lies within. For over a century and a half, this stage has been the crucible where legends are forged, where the traditions of Russian classical ballet have been preserved, refined, and passed down through generations of dancers and choreographers. To enter the Mariinsky is to step back into the golden age of imperial Russia. The auditorium is a breathtaking spectacle in itself, a vast U-shaped space rendered in shades of blue, silver, and gold. A colossal bronze chandelier weighing several tons and adorned with thousands of crystals hangs from the center of a ceiling painted with dancing muses. The air itself seems thick with anticipation and the ghosts of performances past. One can almost hear the faint echo of Tchaikovsky's premieres or see the spectral form of Anna Pavlova taking her bow. This is not just a building, it is a vessel of artistic memory. The history of the company predates the theatre building itself, tracing its lineage back to the 1780s. However, it was in this specific venue, opened in 1860 and named for Empress Maria Alexandrovna, wife of Alexander II, that its reputation was cemented. It became the preeminent stage of the Russian Empire, home to the imperial ballet and imperial opera. It was here that the choreographer Marius Petipa created the cornerstones of the classical ballet repertoire, works like The Sleeping Beauty, The Nutcracker and Swan Lake, which continue to dominate stages around the world today. The theatre has weathered the storms of history with remarkable resilience. After the revolution, its imperial eagles were removed and its name was changed to the Kirov, a title it held throughout the Soviet era. Yet, through all the political upheaval, the artistic standards within its walls remained uncompromisingly high. The rigorous training, the dedication to classical technique, and the pursuit of artistic perfection continued unabated. This institution has acted as a vital conservatory, protecting a delicate and demanding art form from the turbulent forces of the outside world, ensuring its survival for future generations. Behind the velvet curtains and the gilded proscenium arch lies another world, one hidden from the audience's view. This is the realm of the rehearsal studio, a place of relentless work, sweat, and unwavering discipline. Here, in stark, unadorned rooms lined with mirrors and bars, the illusion of effortless grace seen on stage is meticulously constructed. The daily life of a Mariinsky dancer is a ritual of punishing physical exertion, beginning with the morning class, a series of exercises that have remained largely unchanged for over 200 years, designed to hone the body into a perfect instrument of expression. The mirrors that line the walls are the dancer's most honest and unforgiving critics. They reflect every imperfection, every slight deviation from the precise geometry of classical ballet. The ballet master's voice, sharp and commanding, cuts through the strains of the piano accompaniment, offering corrections, encouragement, and demanding ever greater precision. It is a process of refinement through endless repetition. A single complex sequence of steps, a variation, may be practiced hundreds of times until it achieves the required level of technical brilliance and artistic nuance. This is a life dedicated to the pursuit of an elusive perfection. This intense training forges a unique kind of athlete-artist. The physical demands are immense, comparable to those of any elite sport, yet this strength must be concealed beneath a veneer of ethereal lightness. The goal is not simply to execute the steps, but to inhabit a character, to tell a story through the silent language of the body. The dancer must communicate love, despair, joy, and tragedy, using only gesture and movement, transforming raw physical effort into pure, transcendent emotion. It is this alchemy that lies at the very heart of the Mariinsky's art. From this demanding environment, legends have emerged, names like Vaslav Nijinsky, Anna Pavlova. Here on the Fontanka River lies the Summer Garden. Born from Peter the Great's vision, this formal garden imposed European ideals onto Russian earth. Classical sculptures served as tools of cultural transformation. These silent figures form one of Russia's oldest sculpture collections. Facing harsh winters, statues are now moved indoors for protection. During the siege of Leningrad, they were buried to protect them from bombs. Their re-emergence symbolized the city's resilience. Within the elegant confines of the Petersburg Palace, a collection of extraordinary jewel-encrusted objects is carefully incubated. This is the Faberge Museum, a sanctuary dedicated to the art of a single creative dynasty. The House of Faberge, under the masterful eye of Peter Carl Faberge, became the official jeweler to the Russian imperial court. They were not merely craftsmen, they were alchemists of luxury, transforming gold, silver, and precious gems into objects of breathtaking intricacy and whimsical delight. The environment they cultivated was one of unparalleled creativity, where the only limit was the boundless wealth of their patrons and the fertile scope of their own imagination. The museum's main attraction, its most prized clutch, is the collection of imperial Easter eggs. These were not ordinary gifts. They were the product of a unique tradition, a private ritual between the last rulers of the Romanov dynasty. Beginning in 1885, Tsar Alexander III commissioned an egg from Faberge as an Easter present for his wife, the Empress Maria Feodorovna. The gift was such a success that a new tradition was hatched. Each year, Faberge was tasked with creating 2 eggs, one for the Dowager Empress and one for the current Tsarina, Alexandra Feodorovna. It was a yearly display of affection, rendered in the most opulent materials imaginable. The only condition for these creations was that each must contain a surprise. This element of hidden wonder became the hallmark of the imperial eggs. They are complex mechanical marvels, intricate ecosystems of design where the outer shell, itself a masterpiece of enamel and jewels, opens to reveal an even more astonishing treasure within. A miniature diamond-studded replica of the royal carriage, a tiny golden train that can be wound up and set in motion, or a portrait gallery of the imperial family on a folding screen. These surprises were closely guarded secrets, often unknown even to the Tsar himself until the moment of presentation. The collection on display here, purchased by the Russian industrialist Victor Vekselberg from the Forbes family, represents the largest single gathering of these imperial treasures in the world. It is a homecoming, a repatriation of a vital part of Russia's cultural DNA. To see them together is to understand the sheer scale of the Faberge operation and the extraordinary level of artistry they achieved. Each egg is a time capsule, a snapshot of the private world of the Romanovs, capturing their triumphs, their family life, and the magnificent doomed splendor of their reign just before its sudden and violent extinction. Let us examine one of these remarkable creations more closely. The 1897 coronation egg, for instance, is a masterpiece of deception and revelation. Its outer shell, made of multicolored gold, is covered in translucent lime yellow enamel, a pattern meant to evoke the heavy cloth of gold robe worn by the Tsarina Alexandra at her coronation. This outer layer, decorated with diamond-set imperial eagles, is merely the protective camouflage. The true marvel, the organism's vital secret, lies hidden within its core. It is a perfect example of the Faberge survival strategy, to conceal the most precious element deep inside. With a gentle twist and pull, the egg opens. The surprise is revealed. It is a perfect miniature replica of the 18th century imperial coach that carried the Tsarina to her coronation ceremony. The level of detail is almost beyond belief. The tiny carriage, less than 4 inches long, has windows made of rock crystal, wheels rimmed with platinum, and a diamond-encrusted imperial crown on its roof. It is a faithful reproduction, right down to the tiny articulated steps that fold down and the doors that open. It is the result of thousands of hours of painstaking labor by a whole team of specialized artisans. This was Faberge's genius. He was not just a jeweler, he was the master of a complex workshop ecosystem. He employed hundreds of craftsmen, each a specialist in their own field. Enamelers, goldsmiths, stone cutters, and miniature painters. He orchestrated their talents like a conductor leading an orchestra, ensuring that every element, no matter how small, was executed with absolute perfection. He understood that the collective effort of these highly skilled individuals could produce something far greater than any single artist could achieve alone. The Faberge workshop was a hive of creativity, all buzzing in service of a single opulent vision. The surprise was more than a gimmick. It was the heart of the object's narrative. It personalized the gift, connecting it directly to a significant event in the lives of the imperial family. The coronation egg was not just a beautiful object. It was a memory machine, a tangible reminder of a pivotal moment of state. In a world of unimaginable luxury, where any material possession was attainable, the most valuable gift was one that was unique, personal, and held a secret known only to the giver and the recipient. It was the ultimate expression of intimacy through artistry. Each egg tells a story, a fragment of the Romanov saga. The 1900 Trans-Siberian Railway egg commemorates the completion of that great artery of steel across the wilderness of Siberia. Its silver shell is engraved with a map of the railway's route, and its surprise is a miniature wind-up train of gold and platinum. The locomotive has a ruby headlamp and diamond headlights, and it pulls 5 carriages with rock crystal windows, each meticulously labelled "Mail for ladies only, smoking, non-smoking," and a chapel car. It is a celebration of imperial progress and engineering might captured in the palm of a hand. Then there is the 1913 Romanov centenary egg, a spectacular tribute to 300 years of the dynasty's rule. Its surface is adorned with 18 miniature portraits of the Romanov Tsars painted on ivory. Inside, a rotating globe of blued steel depicts the Russian Empire in 1613 and again in 1913, illustrating the vast expansion of its territory under Romanov dominion. It is an object of immense historical pride, a confident declaration of permanence and power. Yet, it is imbued with a deep and tragic irony, for it was created just 4 years before the dynasty would be swept away forever. The final 2 imperial eggs were commissioned for Easter of 1917. The world had changed. Russia was embroiled in the First World War, and the mood of the country had turned dark and mutinous. In response, these last eggs were noticeably more modest. The Karelian birch egg, intended for the Dowager Empress, was made of humble wood, its only surprise a small mechanical elephant. The constellation egg for the Tsarina was never finished or delivered. The revolution intervened, the workshop was silenced, the craftsmen scattered, and the Tsar and his family were taken into custody, their gilded world collapsing around them. To look upon this collection is to gaze into a lost world. These eggs are the glittering fossils of a vanished age, symbols of a level of wealth and patronage that seems almost mythical today. They represent the pinnacle of decorative art, but also the beautiful, fragile bubble in which the last imperial family lived. They are exquisitely beautiful, technically brilliant, and profoundly sad. They are the last glittering embers of an empire, preserved forever in a nest of gold and jewels, their secrets now laid bare for all to see. Stretching along the bustling artery of Nevsky Prospect, a great stone colonnade reaches out like a pair of enormous embracing arms. This is the Kazan Cathedral, a structure whose very form is a declaration of imperial ambition and spiritual might. Commissioned by Emperor Paul I at the very beginning of the 19th century, its design was intended to be nothing less than a Russian answer to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. The Tsar, deeply impressed by the grandeur of the Vatican during his European travels, desired a similar monumental presence in his own capital, a testament to the power and glory of the Russian Orthodox faith. The architect, Andrei Voronikin, a former serf who had risen through talent and patronage, was faced with a monumental challenge. The rigid canons of Orthodox church design required the main altar to face east. However, to present its most impressive facade to the main thoroughfare of Nevsky Prospect, the cathedral had to be oriented with its side facing the street. Voronikin's ingenious solution was this magnificent semicircular colonnade of 96 Corinthian columns. It creates a grand piazza and a monumental entrance, cleverly masking the unconventional orientation of the main building behind it. The construction itself was a colossal undertaking, a national project that utilized exclusively Russian materials and labor. This was a point of immense pride. The stone for the columns was quarried from the hills near St. Petersburg, a testament to the richness of the native land. The vast bronze doors are themselves a work of art, a direct copy of the famous Gates of Paradise from the baptistry in Florence. Every detail was intended to project an image of a Russian empire that was not merely a follower of European trends, but a worthy rival, capable of producing classical grandeur on a scale to match any in the world. The resulting structure dominates its environment. The sweeping curve of the colonnade draws the eye and the spirit inwards, creating a sanctuary of calm amidst the city's relentless energy. It is a powerful architectural statement, a fusion of Western neoclassical ideals with the deep-rooted traditions of Russian Orthodoxy. And it was built to inspire awe, to make the individual feel small in the face of the divine and the imperial, and to firmly establish St. Petersburg as one of the great capitals of Christendom, a third Rome with its own magnificent stone-clad heart. The cathedral's identity is inextricably linked with a singular pivotal moment in Russian history, the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte. Following the disastrous French invasion of 1812, The Kazan Cathedral was transformed into a national pantheon, a memorial to one of Russia's greatest military triumphs. It became the keeper of the spoils of war. Captured French battle standards, over 100 of them, were brought here and hung from the walls. The keys to 16 conquered European cities and fortresses were placed within its sacred confines, each one a testament to the reach and power of the Tsar's army. The central figure in this national epic was Field Marshal Mikhail Kutuzov, the cunning and patient commander who led the Russian forces to victory. It was his strategy of strategic retreat and scorched earth that ultimately doomed Napoleon's Grande Armée in the unforgiving Russian winter. When Kutuzov died a year later during the ongoing campaign in Prussia, he was hailed as the savior of the nation. His body was brought back to St. Petersburg in a solemn procession, and he was laid to rest here within the very cathedral he helped to make famous. His tomb, a simple and dignified monument of dark granite, lies near the northern entrance, a place of pilgrimage for generations of Russians. It is guarded by a finely wrought iron grille, and above it an icon of the Virgin of Kazan, the very icon he prayed before prior to leading the army. The air around the tomb feels heavy with history. To stand here is to feel the immense weight of that national struggle, a conflict that cost hundreds of thousands of lives, but ultimately forged a new, powerful sense of Russian identity and patriotism. The cathedral became more than a house of worship. It became... Here, on the edge of Arts Square, stands a monumental structure, a palace not for royalty, but for the very soul of Russia itself. This is the Mikhailovsky Palace, the principal building of the State Russian Museum. It does not house the treasures of distant lands or ancient empires, but rather it is a sanctuary for a nation's artistic journey, a visual chronicle of its triumphs, its turmoil, and its enduring spirit. Within these neoclassical walls, a different kind of ecosystem thrives, one of color, form, and profound human expression, carefully preserved and displayed for all who seek to understand the heart of this vast country through the eyes of its most gifted creators. The museum's collection is a vast and sprawling tapestry, woven from the threads of 1,000 years of creative endeavor. It begins not with grand oil paintings, but with the solemn, spiritual gaze of ancient icons, their golden halos shimmering with a light that seems to emanate from another world. These are the earliest artistic whispers of a nascent Russia, religious artifacts that were once the focal point of prayer and devotion. They tell stories of saints and scriptures, their stylized forms and reverse perspective creating a unique spiritual landscape that draws the viewer inward into a state of contemplation far removed from the bustling city outside. From these sacred beginnings, the narrative of Russian art unfolds with remarkable diversity. The collection charts the slow and deliberate shift from the divine to the human, as the formal constraints of icon painting gave way to the burgeoning world of portraiture in the 18th century. Here we see the faces of the Russian Enlightenment, tsars, aristocrats, and intellectuals, captured with a newfound psychological depth. The artists of this era, many trained in the academies of Europe, began to master the techniques of Western art, yet they infused their work with a distinctly Russian sensibility, a certain gravity and introspection that would become a hallmark of the nation's art. This journey through the galleries is, in essence, a journey through time itself. Each hall represents a different epoch, a new chapter in the nation's unfolding story. The grand historical canvases of the 19th century depict epic battles and pivotal moments, while the intimate landscapes of the same period reveal a deep and abiding love for the Russian countryside, its sweeping plains, dense forests, and unforgiving winters. It is a collection that speaks not in a single voice, but in a chorus of many, each artist adding their unique perspective to the grand, complex, and ever-evolving masterpiece that is Russia. A pivotal moment in this artistic ecosystem arrived with a group of rebels known as the Peredvizhniki, or the Wanderers. Dissatisfied with the rigid academicism of the state-sponsored art world, they broke away, determined to bring art to the people. They carried their exhibitions to the provinces, their canvases depicting not the gods and heroes of antiquity, but the raw, unvarnished reality of contemporary Russian life. Their work was a powerful form of social commentary, a mirror held up to a society grappling with immense change, poverty, and injustice. They painted the peasant, the laborer, the political exile, giving voice to the voiceless. One cannot stand before Ilya Repin's monumental painting, Barge Haulers on the Volga, without feeling the immense weight of the scene, the straining muscles, the sun-scorched skin, the resigned yet defiant expressions of the men. It is a portrait of human endurance against overwhelming odds. This was the genius of the Wanderers, to find the epic in the everyday, the heroic in the humble. Their art was not merely for decoration, it was a call to conscience, an exploration of the national character in all its complexity. They captured the tyazost, the heavy, burdensome soulfulness that is so central to the Russian experience. The turn of the 20th century saw the ground shift once more as new, radical forms of expression began to challenge the realism of the Wanderers. The Russian Museum holds an unparalleled collection of the Russian avant-garde, a period of explosive creativity that coincided with the political and social upheavals of the time. Here, artists like Kazimir Malevich and Wasily Kandinsky sought to break free from the constraints of the physical world entirely, venturing into the pure abstract realms of color, line, and form. They were not just painting pictures, they were attempting to construct a new reality. This artistic revolution was inextricably linked to the social revolution brewing outside the studio walls. For a brief, electrifying period, art and politics marched hand in hand, with artists believing they could help build a new utopian society. Malevich's Black Square was not just a painting, but a zero point of art, a radical break from everything that had come before. The galleries dedicated to this period hum with an energy that is both intellectual and visceral, a testament to a time when artists dared to believe that their work could fundamentally reshape the world, a powerful and ultimately tragic chapter in Russia's cultural history. The Russian Museum is not a static entity confined to a single palace. It is a vast, interconnected network of buildings, each one a unique habitat for a specific era of Russian art. Beyond the Mikhailovsky Palace, there is the Stroganov Palace, a masterpiece of Baroque architecture that showcases the opulent decorative arts of the 18th century. Then there is the Marble Palace, a severe and stunning example of neoclassicism, housing a remarkable collection of pop art and works by foreign artists who lived and worked in Russia. This dispersal allows each collection to be seen in a context that enhances its meaning and power. The complex even includes the Mikhailovsky Castle, also known as St. Michael's Castle, a fortress-like residence where the paranoid Tsar Paul I met his untimely end. Today, its somber, fortified walls house the museum's portrait gallery, a fitting home for the painted ghosts of Russia's past. To walk through these varied spaces is to understand that the story of Russian art cannot be contained within a single narrative or a single building. It is a story that has unfolded in palaces and fortresses, in grand halls and intimate chambers, reflecting the multifaceted nature of the nation itself. The collection continues to grow, to evolve, to breathe. It moves beyond the Soviet realism that once dominated the artistic landscape, embracing the diverse and often challenging works of contemporary Russian artists. These new acquisitions ensure that the museum is not merely a mausoleum for past glories, but a living, dynamic institution that continues to chart the course of the nation's creative spirit. It is a testament to the resilience of art, its ability to survive political freezes, to adapt and to re-emerge with renewed vigor, asking new questions and reflecting the complexities of the modern world. And so the Russian Museum stands as the ultimate repository of a national identity expressed through art. It is more comprehensive than the Hermitage in its specific focus, offering a journey that is deeper, narrower, and perhaps more intimate. To visit is to witness the evolution of a people's vision of themselves and their world, from the divine light of ancient icons to the stark abstractions of the avant-garde and beyond. It is a dialogue across centuries, a conversation between generations of artists and viewers, all taking place within the heart of Peter the Great's magnificent city. Moored on the Neva River, the cruiser Aurora is a survivor from another age. A veteran of conflicts, it is a symbol of a single moment. In 1917, a blank shot was fired from this vessel, heralding a new era. Today it is a museum, its decks walked by tourists, the aurora floats silently, its shots still echoing. In the intricate network of canals and rivers that define St. Petersburg lies a unique, man-made habitat. This is New Holland Island, a triangular parcel of land artificially created in the 18th century, nestled between the Moika River and the Krukov and Admiralty canals. Its name is a tribute to Peter the Great's fascination with the shipbuilding and canal systems of Amsterdam. For centuries, this was a place of industry and innovation, a closed world dedicated to the needs of the Russian Admiralty. It was here that timber was stored, dried, and prepared for the construction of the warships that would form the backbone of Russia's formidable navy. The island's most striking feature is its magnificent arch, a monumental gateway of red brick and granite that spans one of the canals. Designed by the French architect Jean-Baptiste Valin de la Motte, it is a masterpiece of early Russian classicism, a grand and powerful statement of the island's importance to the state. For over 200 years, this arch was a portal to a restricted zone. Behind its imposing form lay a world of warehouses, workshops, and even a naval prison, its circular shape earning it the ominous nickname, the Bottle. This was a place of labor, not leisure, its purpose purely functional and military. The lifeblood of the island was timber. Great logs were floated down the waterways and brought here to be seasoned. The warehouses, designed with ingenious ventilation systems, allowed the wood to dry slowly and thoroughly, a crucial process for ensuring the strength and longevity of a ship's hull. New Holland was, in essence, the larder for the Admiralty shipyards, a vital organ in the body of the Imperial Russian Navy. It played a quiet but essential role in Russia's rise as a great European power, its resources contributing to the victories of the fleet for generations. For most of its history, the island remained hidden from public view, its secrets guarded by its industrial purpose and military status. Its brick walls enclosed a world apart from the aristocratic glamour of the city's palaces and prospects. It was a landscape of function over form, of pragmatic engineering over aesthetic delight. Few could have imagined that this utilitarian enclave, this forge of naval power, would one day be reborn as one of the most vibrant and creative ecosystems in the entire city of St. Petersburg. As the 20th century drew to a close, the island's original purpose faded into history. The naval facilities were decommissioned, and for a time New Holland fell into a state of quiet decay. Its historic warehouses, once bustling with activity, stood empty and silent. The island, for so long a closed and mysterious territory, became a forgotten backwater, its future uncertain. Various plans were proposed for its redevelopment, but for years it remained in a state of suspended animation, a sleeping giant in the heart of the city, waiting for a new purpose, a new reason to exist. The transformation began in the 21st century. A visionary project was launched to revitalize the island, to reinvent it not as a military or industrial site, but as a public space dedicated to culture, leisure, and community. The process was slow and deliberate, undertaken with immense respect for the island's unique architectural heritage. The historic buildings were not to be torn down, but carefully restored and repurposed. The goal was to peel back the layers of industrial grime and reveal the inherent beauty of the 18th century structures, adapting them for a new kind of life. The island was reborn. The once utilitarian spaces were reimagined. The former naval prison, the Bottle, was transformed into a bustling vertical hub of cafes, design shops, and studios, its circular corridors now filled with the buzz of creative energy. The old warehouses became venues for art exhibitions, concerts, and lectures. The central lawn, once likely a timber yard, was converted into a lush green park, a place for picnics, outdoor film screenings, and in winter a magical ice skating rink. The island had shed its old skin, emerging as a vibrant new creature. This metamorphosis represents a profound shift in the city's own evolution. It signals a move away from a purely historical museum-like identity towards a more dynamic and contemporary urban culture. New Holland has become a habitat for a new generation of St. Petersburg residents, artists, designers, families, and young people. It is a place where the city's imperial past and its creative future. Here at the Strelka, the Neva River splits. The panoramic vista is breathtaking, a masterpiece where water and architecture harmonize, a testament to Peter the Great's vision. The plaza, stock exchange, and rostral columns command respect. The rostral columns are powerful symbols of maritime prowess. The old stock exchange is a supreme example of Greek revival architecture. It was a new temple of commerce where the wealth of the Russian Empire would be traded. The Yusupov Palace, home to immense wealth, holds a dark secret. Its opulent interior hosted private concerts and theatrical performances, but it's infamous for the assassination of Grigory Rasputin in December 1916. Today the palace serves a dual purpose, a museum and a memorial to that brutal night. At the far eastern end of the city's grand artery, the Nevsky Prospect, lies a place of profound peace and spiritual significance, the Alexander Nevsky Lavra. This is not merely a monastery, it is a Lavra, a title of the highest rank in the Russian Orthodox Church, bestowed upon only the most important and sacred of monastic communities. Founded in 1710 by Peter the Great himself, its location was chosen with great symbolic purpose. Peter believed this to be the site of the legendary 1240 Battle of the Neva, where the young Prince Alexander of Novgorod defeated the Swedes, an event that earned him the honorific Nevsky. This act of founding was a masterstroke of political and religious strategy. By establishing the city's principal monastery on this spot and dedicating it to Alexander Nevsky, Peter was creating a powerful spiritual anchor for his new capital. He was linking his modern European-style city to one of Russia's most revered military heroes and saints. In 1724, in a grand ceremony, Peter had the relics of St. Alexander Nevsky transferred from the city of Vladimir to a magnificent shrine within the monastery's new cathedral. This act officially made Alexander Nevsky the heavenly patron saint of St. Petersburg, his warrior spirit forever guarding the city. The architectural ensemble of the Lavra is a serene and harmonious collection of buildings constructed over the course of the 18th century. The centerpiece is the majestic Holy Trinity Cathedral, a fine example of Russian neoclassicism designed by Ivan Starov. Its elegant portico and twin bell towers create a sense of calm and balanced grandeur, a contrast to the more exuberant Baroque style found elsewhere in the city. The monastery grounds are a tranquil oasis, a walled sanctuary removed from the hustle and bustle of the great avenue that terminates at its gates, offering a space for quiet contemplation and prayer. Over the centuries, the Lavra grew into a vast and influential institution. It was a center of religious education, housing a theological academy that trained generations of priests and bishops for the Russian Orthodox Church. It was also a hub of artistic production with workshops for icon painting and religious crafts. The monastery became a spiritual fortress, a bastion of faith and tradition that stood as a counterpart to the secular, administrative, and military power being consolidated in the rest of Peter's new city. It represents the sacred soul of St. Petersburg, a vital component of its complex identity. The Alexander Nevsky Lavra is perhaps most famous not for its living inhabitants, but for its dead. The monastery grounds contain some of the most prestigious cemeteries in all of Russia, collectively known as the necropolis of the masters of art. To be buried here was the highest of honors, a final recognition of one's contribution to Russian culture. The cemeteries are divided into two main sections: the Lazarevsko Cemetery, the oldest in the city, and the Tikhvin Cemetery, established in the 19th century specifically as a burial ground for the nation's artistic and intellectual elite. Walking through the Tikhvin Cemetery is like taking a journey through the golden age of Russian culture. Here, beneath elaborate and often deeply personal monuments, lie the giants of music, literature, and art. The grave of Fyodor Dostoevsky is a major site of pilgrimage, a simple but powerful monument to the author who so profoundly captured the cities. In St. Petersburg, we find Dostoevsky's apartment on Kuznechny Lane. Here he lived his final years and wrote. The museum is a time capsule into the mind of a genius. His study features his writing desk and a reproduction of the Sistine Madonna. The clock stopped at 8:38 p.m., the moment of his death. His library reveals the sources that nourished his intellect. Leaving the apartment, St. Petersburg is now seen through a Dostoevskian lens. On Nevsky Prospect, the Elisiev Emporium stands as a monument to commerce. Inside, the air is thick with exotic scents. The pursuit of fine food was elevated to an art form. The sheer abundance is a spectacle. The 1917 revolution swept through Russia, altering the landscape forever. Today, the Eliseyev Emporium thrives once more. Here, in the high latitudes, the planet's axial tilt orchestrates one of nature's most enchanting displays. As the northern hemisphere leans towards the sun, the city of St. Petersburg enters a period of extraordinary and perpetual daylight. This is the season of the White Nights, or Beliya Nochi. For several weeks, from late May to early July, the sun stubbornly refuses to surrender to the horizon. It dips low, kissing the skyline with a soft, ethereal glow, but darkness never truly falls. The city is bathed in a twilight that lasts all night, a phenomenon that profoundly alters the rhythm of life. This constant light has a powerful effect on the city's inhabitants, both human and animal. The normal cycle of day and night, a fundamental biological clock for most species on Earth, is suspended. People's energy levels seem to surge, and a strange, festive sleeplessness descends upon the population. The streets, which in other seasons would be deserted in the early hours, remain alive with activity. It is as if the city itself is unwilling to sleep, drawing energy directly from the omnipresent sun. This is a time of altered states, a period when the usual boundaries of time seem to dissolve into a continuous, luminous present. The quality of the light itself is unique. It's not the harsh, direct light of midday, but a soft, diffused luminescence that paints the city's grand architecture in shades of pearl, silver, and pale gold. The gilded domes and spires seem to absorb the gentle glow, radiating a warmth that defies the late hour. The canals reflect the pastel sky, creating a dreamlike, watercolor world where reality feels heightened and strangely beautiful. This perpetual twilight creates a magical, almost surreal atmosphere, transforming the familiar urban landscape into something otherworldly and deeply romantic. This natural spectacle is a direct consequence of St. Petersburg's geography. Founded on a marsh at 60 degrees north latitude, it is one of the world's northernmost major cities. Its existence is a testament to human will triumphing over a challenging environment. The White Nights are the reward for enduring the long, dark and severe winters. It is a season of release and celebration, a time when the entire city emerges from hibernation to bask in the ceaseless, life-affirming light of the Arctic summer sun, a dramatic and beautiful chapter in the city's annual cycle. During this season of endless light, the city hosts a unique and spectacular ritual, a celebration known as the Scarlet Sails, or Alye Parusa. It is a massive public event, ostensibly for the city's high school graduates, but in reality it is a festival for everyone. It draws enormous crowds to the banks of the Neva River, a mass gathering of humanity united in anticipation. The entire city becomes a theater for this remarkable performance. The climax of the festival is a breathtaking spectacle that combines music, fireworks, and nautical pageantry. As the twilight sky deepens to its darkest shade of indigo, a magnificent tall ship, its sails dyed a vibrant, impossible scarlet, appears on the river. It glides silently through the water, a vision from a fairy tale brought to life. The ship is a powerful symbol inspired by a popular Russian children's story of hope and dreams coming true. Its passage represents the graduate's journey from the safety of school into the vast, unknown ocean of adult life, a poignant and deeply resonant metaphor. The appearance of the ship triggers an extraordinary display of pyrotechnics. The sky, which has refused to darken, is now set ablaze with man-made constellations. Fireworks erupt from barges on the river, their colors reflecting in the water below, doubling the intensity of the spectacle. The explosions are choreographed to a symphony of classical and contemporary music broadcast across the embankments, creating a powerful sensory experience that engulfs the entire crowd. It is a display of human ingenuity and artistry, a deliberate and magnificent challenge to the quiet beauty of the natural twilight. This event is more than just a party, it is a modern-day rite of passage. For the young graduates, it is a moment of profound significance, a final, collective celebration before they disperse to pursue their individual paths. For the city, it is an expression of identity, a celebration of its youth, its maritime heritage, and its capacity for creating moments of collective joy and wonder. The Scarlet Sails Festival is a uniquely St. Petersburg tradition, a perfect fusion of natural phenomenon and human culture, creating a memory that will endure long after the sun finally sets. The influence of the White Nights extends far beyond a single festival. The entire cultural ecosystem of the city adapts to the extended daylight. Theaters and concert halls, including the Great Mariinsky, host special Stars of the White Nights festivals, presenting a marathon of world-class opera and ballet performances that often run late into the luminous night. The creative energy of the city seems to peak during this period, as artists and performers draw inspiration from the unique atmosphere and the heightened sensibilities of their audiences. The city's cultural life, always vibrant, becomes supercharged. The city's parks and gardens, like the Summer Garden and the grounds of Peterhof, become nocturnal sanctuaries. Couples stroll along pathways at 2 in the morning, families have picnics at midnight, and groups of friends gather to talk and sing until the pale dawn strengthens. The drawbridges that span the Neva, a nightly necessity for allowing ships to pass, become a spectacle in their own right. Crowds gather to watch the massive structures slowly rise against the twilight sky, a simple mechanical process transformed into a moment of collective wonder by the magical light of the season. This seasonal change in behavior is a remarkable adaptation. The human inhabitants of St. Petersburg alter their daily patterns to maximize their exposure to the light and the festive atmosphere. It is a time for romance, for creativity, and for community. The city's famous melancholy seems to lift, replaced by a palpable sense of optimism and energy. The White Nights provide a powerful reminder of how profoundly our environment shapes our lives, our moods, and our cultures, dictating the very rhythm of our existence in a dance as old as the planet itself. And so, as the season progresses, the city lives a different life, a life lived in the glow of a sun that never sleeps. It is a period of intense beauty and activity, a fleeting magical chapter in the city's year. But like all seasons, it must come to an end. The nights will slowly begin to darken, the festive energy will subside, and the city will prepare once more for the long winter ahead. The White Nights remain a cherished memory and a promise, a spectacular natural gift to this resilient and extraordinary city of the north. Our journey through the magnificent urban habitat of St. Petersburg now draws to a close. We have explored its palaces, which stand like fossilized giants from a past epoch, their gilded halls echoing with the ghosts of czars and empresses. We have navigated its canals, the arteries that give life to the city, and walked its grand avenues, pathways teeming with human activity. From the sacred silence of its cathedrals to the revolutionary roar of the cruiser Aurora, we have witnessed the incredible diversity of niches that make up this complex and fascinating ecosystem. A city forged by imperial ambition and tempered by revolution. We have seen how human history, like natural history, is a story of adaptation, survival, and evolution. Each landmark, each museum, each street corner holds a piece of a larger narrative, a story of immense creativity, profound tragedy, and remarkable resilience. The spirit of this city, much like a persistent species, has endured unimaginable pressures: floods, wars, sieges, and radical political change. Yet it remains, its beauty not just intact, but deepened by the scars of its past, a testament to the enduring power of culture and the human will to create and preserve. The story of St. Petersburg is, of course, far from over. It continues to evolve, to adapt to the changing climate of the modern world. New Holland Island thrives as a modern cultural space, while the timeless magic of the White Nights continues to enchant a new generation each year. The city is a living museum, but also a dynamic breathing organism, constantly reinventing itself while holding fast to the rich legacy of its past. Its ability to balance these two forces is the key to its continued survival and its unending fascination for all who come to explore it. Now, as our exploration concludes, the narrative passes to you. The habitats we have observed are rich and varied, each with its own unique character and story. Which of these remarkable spots has captured your imagination? Which chapter in St. Petersburg's epic story resonates most with you? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you wish to join us on future expeditions into the most fascinating places on our planet, do not forget to like this chronicle and subscribe for more guides to the wonders of our world.